Hi there everyone. In this bite-sized bit, we're going to discuss how to create new projects in Visual Studio 2019. We're also going to spend a little bit of time talking about the best naming practices for your project, and we will discuss the best places to save your project, whether you're working on your own personal device or you're working on a computer in a computer lab on campus. Let's go ahead and get started. When you first run Visual Studio 2019, you will be prompted with this opening screen on how you want to begin. If you were opening an existing project, you would go ahead and click the appropriate button. But since we are practicing the creation of a very new project, we're going to click on the Create New Project button on this opening screen. There are lots of different types of projects that you can create inside Visual Studio. For our purposes, we are only interested in creating C# projects. And for this class, the only types of C# projects that we're going to create are going to be in the Windows environment. And the only type of projects that we are going to be pursuing are desktop projects. And even under these three subtypes, there are lots of different ways that you could create a desktop program. The one that we are most interested in for this class is the Windows Form app. Also says .NET Framework in parentheses next to it. This is the environment we will be using to explore the programs we create this semester. And it's a simple environment for creating a Windows form that runs on your local computer. You can find this selection in lots of different ways. You don't have to use the filters up top. You could scroll up and down the list until you found the appropriate choice. Or you can certainly do what I did, which was filter down to these subsets until you find the appropriate choice. What you're interested in is Windows Form app. I'm going to go ahead and click that choice, and then I'm going to click the next button. Once we get to this screen, we need to properly name our new project. In this class, we have some strict guidelines for how we name our projects. Every project we create in this class is going to be based upon the student's last name and first name. Every project you ever see me create in the classroom or in these videos will start with my last name and my first name. Note I capitalize the first letter of my last name and I capitalize the first letter of my first name. I don't use any additional symbols, no dashes, no underscores, no spaces. I also make sure that I do my last name first and my first name last. If you fail to follow these simple instructions on any of your homework assignments, projects, or exams, you will lose points. So please be careful and follow this very simple but very strict guideline for naming your projects in C#. After typing your last name and your first name, you need to type something descriptive. Sometimes you will be creative in terms of what that descriptor might be. Today, we're doing a very simple example of how we are creating projects inside C#, and I'm going to call this example 1. I'm capitalizing the E for example and capitalizing the O for 1. If this were an actual assignment, I'd be following the instructions that were provided. So for example, if this was my first homework assignment, it would be named Boone TED Homework 1. If this was my first exam, it would be named Boone TED Exam 1. Make sure you follow whatever instructions are provided to you when you are naming your projects. The second important component to saving your work is where you want to store it. Visual Studio will suggest that you store things on your local hard drive inside the users folder. If you are working on your own personal machine, like a laptop or desktop at home, this might be a good choice. But if you're working on a computer in the lab, this is not a good location for storing your files. Lab computers can be removed from the lab without warning and have their software completely replaced for technical reasons. If you've stored your files on the local hard drive, you are at risk of losing those files. So please, don't store your files on the C drive on the computers in the labs. What you'll want to do is click on the ellipses button next to the location and determine a better place to put your files. I'm going to recommend that you store your files on a flash drive that you bring to the classroom or a network drive. As an instructor here at Maze, I have a home drive, the M drive, which is a network drive where I store all of my files. The advantage of this is that I have access to these files from any computer in the building or from home, and the network administrators back up all of my files on the network drive on a regular basis. So even if I do something wrong, I might be able to recover them using their backup and restore utilities. I think this is the ideal place to store your files for both convenience and safety's sake. You, as students, also have access to a Vault drive, and I strongly recommend you take advantage of it. It's a great place to put your stuff. I'm going to go ahead and go to my folder for this semester and go to my course folder. And for this example, go to my in-class folder where I'm going to be storing this particular project. And then I'm going to click on the Select Folder button. Now you can see that my project name is Boone TED Example 1. You can see that the location is my network drive and a specific folder on that network drive. All of the other choices, which are set by default, I leave alone, so I don't change the solution name and I don't change the framework. I go ahead and click Create. And after a moment or two of working, you can see that we have created our very first project. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching.